What felt like a useless piece of advice until you actually tried it. Once begun is half done. I am a terrible procrastinator by nature. I have totally done the well now at 5:02, so I have to wait until 6 o'clock to start cleaning, and I like making things seem like so much work that I can't possibly do them unless I take time off of work. In reality, if you just start a project without thinking about it, you can get everything done in like 15 minutes a day, and it's never really that bad. This too shall pass. On those days when I just feel like I can't take it, I think of that, and I know tomorrow will be different. Someone once told me, tomorrow may not be better, but at least it'll be different in a strange way that too is comforting. How sage. The darkest hour still only has 60 minutes. My therapist told me the next time I'm going to have a panic attack to just give in and tell myself it was okay to have one. I told him he was crazy. After a couple tries it started working to my amazement. I haven't had a panic attack in 3 years. My grandfather told me this and I never understood it until I had my own place. Always buy the cheap tools at first, and if you wear it out, break it, then you use it enough to justify getting a nicer, more expensive one. I guess with power tools and stuff, but my grandfather used to say the opposite. I'm not rich enough to buy cheap things. I still have his tools. Think pliers, screwdrivers, files. Keeping my shoulders back. It was a suggestion I saw for preventing panic anxiety. IDK what it is, but when your shoulders are in that position it gives some strange feeling of control. I also read somewhere that during panic attacks the body basically wants to curl into fetal position for protection. So I feel like focusing on keeping your arms down and shoulders back is a conscious way to go against that and stay grounded in reality. Works for me. Could work for you too. That forest app. It grows a tree for up to 2 hours, and during that time, you can't access any apps you think will distract you. If you wanna open a distracting app, you'll have to kill your tree. All your trees, dead or alive, appear in a little forest. I have always had trouble motivating myself to focus on homework and not look at Reddit YouTube, but this app is just enough guilt to not open them. I haven't killed anything yet, and I'm surprised at how much I can care about a small virtual tree. People told me about it and I just completely assumed that I'd never use it or it wouldn't work for me, considering how distractible I am. But it works wonders. Goodbye, Reddit. My dad always told me ask anyway. The worst they can say is no when buying something or when I needed something from another person. Seemed stupid to ask if I was sure they would say no, but I was also a socially anxious kid. Turns out that advice has helped me with school, with raises, with people in general, with plans with new friends. Another thing, a stupid question is better than a stupid mistake. There's what you need, there's what you want, and there's what you can't afford. My dad says this all the time, and I never thought of it as useless. I just never used it. Now I have, and my money is far easier to manage. If you can't buy it twice, you can't afford it. Jay-Z. If you can tell that someone is going to hit you, tilt your head down. Teeth don't grow back. Your jaw is lights out. If they punch the top of your skull, they will probably break their hand. Always be drunk. Putting cold water on freshly shaved skin will make it so you don't get ingrown hairs. Some of the best advice I've ever received. Your gums bleed when you floss because you don't floss enough. Turns out if you floss enough, your gums won't be inflamed, so they don't bleed when you floss. It's true. Or at least get an electric toothbrush, source, and dental hygienist. For gamers, play games that have a beneficial AFK element in-game. Then whenever you need to do some AFK stuff, spend the time it takes cleaning your house. Started playing Black Desert Online on Xbox. My house has never been cleaner and I'm doing it so regularly that it's becoming a habit, and when I'm all caught up I nap. It's like I tricked myself into taking care of me and my place with games. Easily the best life change I've made this year. I'm productive in game, at home, and I'm well rested. 10/10 highly recommend. I have watched Reddit die. There is nothing of value left on this site. Don't suffer future pain. In other words, worrying about all the stuff that could happen stops you from doing things, and worse, turns potential pain into actual worry and mental pain. Worry is interest paid on a debt you may never have. I can't remember where that's from. Exercising helping with depression and anxiety. It's not a cure-all and I needed to be on meds to get to the point where I could do it, but it really does help me. I've been off my meds now for over a year. Under doctor's supervision. Don't stop taking your meds unless you run it by your doctor. And when I can't exercise for a few days, I can feel the depression and anxiety coming back. Now instead of going through a million things I did wrong in my head, I run for 3 miles or lift some heavy crap. If you have a clogged nose, doing 8-10 push-ups will temporarily clear it up. Fans on my old MacBook died. Saw a YouTube video that said to simply take your fist and bang on the part of the computer that housed the fans. Thinking it was a troll, I gave it a shot out of pure frustration, and lo and behold, they purred back to life and I never had another issue with them for the rest of the time that I owned that computer. Back when iPods were all the rage, mine got an error. I googled the error, and the fix was to drop it from about 6 inches. I did so thinking at worst my broken iPod will be more broken, but it started right up. As someone with a phobia of needles my entire life, I finally, 30 years in, had a nurse tell me to ask for a spare alcohol pad and sniff it right as I'm about to get jabbed. She said the harsh smell is enough of a distraction to keep your mind off the needle. I was there for a flu shot, so I got to try it out right away. I wasn't expecting much, but it worked. I've been doing it ever since, and have no trouble with shot or blood draws now, which is huge for someone they've triggered panic attacks and near fainting in before. Bribe yourself with fun things to do the not so fun things. Today I was tired after work but got a little care package in the mail, so I made myself go on the 2.5 mile run I didn't want to do before I could open the package. But now I'm refreshed and happy that I did the thing I was pseudo dreading, and I have a fun care package to open. Life is really much easier if you clean your workplace room. I clean my room often and it makes me feel calm and clears my head. No greater feeling than coming home to a clean bedroom after working late. Not taking your cell phone into bed with you. After a while you will sleep much easier without a distraction and blue light shining straight into your eyes before bed. Sounds like a good idea. Me on my phone in bed at 10 PM. Stick to the same sleep schedule on your days off that you follow on days when you have to be somewhere at a specific time, like school or work days. I spent my whole life sleeping until noon on weekends, thinking I was storing sleep in some imaginary sleep bank. I recently started waking up early on weekends, and now I don't have trouble waking up when my alarm goes off during the week. Plus I have all this extra time to do stuff because I'm not sleeping all day. It's better to lose a second of your life than to lose your life in a second. People on the road need to just slow down a little. It'll save your life. And stay off your goddamned phone. Try killing roaches with soapy water in a spray bottle. It sounds useless, but it works better than any insecticide I've ever tried, and it's non-toxic and really easy to clean up. Give up caffeine to help with anxiety. I gave it up to help with my vertigo years after this was first suggested to me, but it did help. I'm still anxious as frick, but I'm not reacting to it like a hummingbird on sea anymore. I'm just going to keep pretending like this advice is bulls because I don't want to imagine a world without coffee. It's my last vice. I quit smoking 5 years ago and quit drinking 3.5 years ago. I don't want to have to give up caffeine, but I also don't want to be stuck with anxiety forever. If you feel like quitting, then just tell yourself that the story doesn't end this way. Sounds cliche, but you decide when your story ends when you stop trying. You may fail, but you will not fail today. Don't let the story end this way. Imagining my life as a story is what has helped me through some pretty dark days. Ending it all would be a pretty crappy way to end the story. I suffered severe insomnia for years. Someone told me I should get up an hour earlier, go for a 30-minute run in the morning, then do yoga for 15 minutes before showering and getting ready for work. Seemed ridiculous, but I decided to try it for a month. Haven't suffered insomnia since. Have way more energy, sleep better, feel better. It's amazing. Teacher here. When you're texting, emailing between colleagues, friends, etc., Don't put anything you wouldn't say to their face in writing. If you have it in writing, they've got something physical they can hold against you or gossip about. Even if the door is closed, speak quietly if you're going to vent. Your co-workers can probably hear you clear down the hallway if you're bitching after hours. Take it down to a whisper. CC your admin on every email asking a professional question to anybody else or in any conversation in which the slightest bit of conflict could arise. If you don't trust one of your co-workers, don't say a word to them beyond basic greetings. Trust your gut. Sit quietly in the lounge at lunch. If you think something is wrong, speak up. You probably aren't the only one to notice, and your voice does make a difference. Talking about conflict with my manager at my last job got me identified as trouble. Everyone else just kept their mouth shut. Clean as you cook, dishes right away, and 10 minutes every day walking through the house picking things up, organizing. So much better than hours of cleaning on one day. Pull up your socks. Literally, when you're feeling flagged and weary and still have 2 hours left before you can go home, sit down, take off your shoes, and literally pull your socks up. I belittled this forever until I tried it. It's actually a nice little pick-me-up. I had a problem looking at people's shoulders while they were speaking instead of their face. I told a co-worker my problem, who said, well, just look at their ears. Nobody can tell the difference. Life-changing. Seriously, no one can tell the difference. My mom told me to spend good money on the things that separate you from the ground. Tires, shoes, mattress. I finally bought good, not cheap shoes, and life was significantly better. They last so much longer and my back and posture improved too. She's not wrong about tires and a mattress either. Work boots. I can't tell you how many people work 40 hours a week in the cheapest work boots from Walmart and complain of hip and back pain. When it comes to smoking cigarettes or weed, it's easy to do it all the time. Easy to never do it. Dang hard to only do it once in a while. I needed to hear this. Thank you, Papa. If you have those annoying, tiny gray balls that get stuck to clothing, use a dry razor to shave it off. Saved so many items of clothing. Shave. Put on your own oxygen mask first. You can't help anyone effectively if you're not okay yourself. I was always self-sacrificing, to the point of being hospitalized for exhaustion. I'd always been told to give till it hurts and then push through the pain to give more, and so that's what feels natural, and anything else is pure selfishness. A great therapist told me that I'm good at helping, but I have to be at least at a baseline before I'm effective, and, oh, it makes everything so much better. That's good therapist advice. I once had someone tell me, you know, at your funeral, no one is going to be standing around saying if only he was able to give a little more. My doctor told me when I feel anxious or something like that to wiggle my toes and count them for every wiggle. It is something that distracts your mind and you can do it anywhere cause it just means moving your toes. On my wedding day, my grandmother said to me, never do anything around the house that you don't plan on doing for life. At the time I thought it was a terrible advice. When I was mowing the lawn at 2 months pregnant, I got what she meant. Giving small compliments to people right when you think it makes both them and you happy. Think that girl's skirt is cute? Tell her. I've actually made a couple of friends doing this. For those of you all in comments above me wondering how to compliment girls without coming off as creepy, pro tip, super simple solution. Identify what about that skirt is cute, and compliment that specifically. I like that pattern on your skirt. That's a cool color. That way you're complimenting the person's tastes, not their form. Drink less caffeine. I didn't realize how much it affects my mental disorders, anxiety, depression, ADD, until I started drinking less, and realized I function way better when I don't have a soda or two every other day. Dang, I've never heard that. I have a buddy battling depression and he seriously cannot function socially without it. Learning all the scale positions on the fretboard. Felt pointless to learn more than one way to play the same thing. Then 10 years later, I sat down and decided to learn them and it blew my mind. Everything clicked and all of a sudden I had a frame of reference for all the theory I've heard over the last decade. My perspective changed from I have to memorize all this boring stuff and I don't know why I'm doing it instead of just playing. Why do I have to do it the way theory tells me to? To learning these things isn't meant as a punishment. It's just the standard most people have agreed upon to communicate about musical ideas. It's like everyone agreeing to use the alphabet and grammar in order to facilitate communication. If you have body image issues, find one even very small thing you like about yourself. My starting point was a freckle in the middle of my left hand. Whenever you're feeling bad about yourself, remember you like that one thing. Find a new small thing to like about once a month if you can. It becomes easier to find things, and eventually easier to like yourself, in my experience. Thanks for that advice, Mom. In regards to dating, you'll find someone when you're not looking. Sounds like total BS, but it's proven true for me a few times. Should probably add that you need to be interacting with people in general for this to work. Extreme introverts shouldn't use this as an excuse not to go outside. Changing something about your appearance to gain confident self-esteem. Getting a haircut. Going to the gym. I thought it was a cop-out piece of advice and then I got a haircut and I felt so comfortable in my skin and at peace that I remember the exact moment it happened. When the processing time on my husband's permanent resident status went way overdue, I was freaking out that they would make it our fault his green card and status were no longer valid. That and his driver's license expired and they wouldn't renew it because of his out-of-date papers. Getting immigration to tell you anything helpful is a crap show and our only office in the state is open 4 days a month and wouldn't do crap and it is wildly impossible to get an unscheduled appointment at the Denver office. My grandmother told me to contact my senator and make them deal with it. I thought she was just a dingus but I was desperate so I did. I just filled out a form for both of us stating we give them the right to discuss our private case and their office harassed the ever-loving crap out of us and lit up our state. They would call me just to see how I was doing. They got crap done and I think they pushed his case to the front. They really came through. He's applying for citizenship now and the processing time was almost 2 years when we submitted the application in February and we already have an appointment for the final interview and test in the next 2 weeks. I am positive there is a flag or something on his case account now that they did that for us because everything else had been slower than molasses in winter. Freaking bless you, Pam. You are a badass. Trying to lose weight. When going somewhere in your car, try and park as far from your destination as you can, when you can. I read this tip somewhere else when I was at my heaviest and really trying to lose. Every morning instead of taking the first spot available at work, I'd take the farthest one back. I had to trek a bit to just get to the door, then through the office and upstairs to my cube. It felt good whenever I did it, and it put me in this mode where I wanted to do other healthier things throughout the day. I went from 385 plus to 220 in about a year and a half after I started adapting those baby steps, among many other baby steps, of course. I got one of those keloid scars on one of my ear piercings. A really big, hard bump on the back of my ear. I heard that tea tree oil would make it go away but it seemed so outlandish that oil would do anything. I assumed it was MLM essential oil nonsense. Went to the dermatologist. Had it cut off. It grew back in a few weeks. Got it cut off again. Grew back again. Dermatologist then does a cortisol injection. It went away for about a year then reappeared one day. Tried putting tea tree oil on it every morning. Gone in 2 weeks. Whole thing basically peeled off in layers, which was disgusting but very satisfying. My mom was not thrilled about having paid for all of those appointments when the TTO was $10. Super cheap basic aspirin crushed up with a few drops of water to form a paste applied to the keloid allowed to dry then washed off also works wonders. It also doesn't smell as bad as the tea tree oil if you're onto that crap stinks end of the spectrum. If it takes less than 5 minutes, do it immediately. I do so much less housework on weekends because of this. The fact that it takes less than 5 minutes is what makes me spend a lot more than 5 minutes on it. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.